Hi there, it's Anne-Marie from e.v.e.r.y.t.h.i.n.g Coaching and Consulting, and welcome to the second in my 4-part video series of top tips to help you avoid and reduce leadership burnout and fatigue. If you're noticing that you're feeling overwhelmed and exhausted more often than not these days, there's a good reason. Research indicates that the stress levels and workloads people are managing daily are continuing to rise way beyond pre-pandemic peaks. And the intensity of this unrelenting pressure has led many to question their priorities as well as their reserves in terms of resources, energy, and abilities, all of which have contributed to this kind of collective existential crisis and this mass exodus of employees that they're calling the Great Resignation. Leaders are doing what they can to mitigate these work-related challenges for their teams and organizations, but they are simultaneously grappling with the same internal struggles themselves. In fact, global research indicates that while most senior leaders are still passionate about their work, over 51% said they're considering leaving their roles. And many of those surveyed pointed to their symptoms of burnout as the main reason they've started to question if it's time to give up or move on or try something completely new. And ironically, in such instances, it's that same tension and uncertainty of not knowing what's next for you that can really reduce your resiliency reserves even further. So it creates this kind of catch-22, which culminates in a good old proper case of leadership burnout. So if you're a leader feeling on the verge or even in the grips of burnout and you're seriously thinking about your nearest exit as a solution, I recommend you take a few minutes and try this exercise to help you regain clarity, motivation, and positivity in your work, as well as the resiliency you need to continue to lead with impact. So, are you ready? I lovingly call this exercise the 4 Ps, taking you from pooped to pumped. Priorities, purpose, passions, and planning. Now, we all know the world has changed dramatically over the last few years, and while it is important for you as a senior leader to try and maintain some sense of normality and stability for others, it's equally important to recognize and honor what's changed for and about you too. So take a minute to reflect on what's most important to you now. What adjustments have you made or insights have you gained during the last few years that need to be prioritized and respected? Now, this could be anything from spending more time with your family to creating a safe and equal work environment for all employees, or maybe even establishing greater financial security for your business. It doesn't matter, whatever. I want you to think about the ways in which you're working now in relation to these priorities. How are they currently being honored? Are they in alignment with the values and priorities of your organization? What shifts would you need to make, and by whom, for your priorities to be incorporated into your work moving forward? What difference would it make to you if and when these shifts actually occurred? Then I want you to ask yourself, what are you doing and why are you doing it? In other words, what is your purpose, your mission? What impact are you trying to make in the world and in your work? And what, if anything, needs to shift for you to create clear alignment between your purpose and your work? And finally, it's equally important to recognize that the parts of the job that used to get your motor running before may not be making you feel great now. You might be feeling a bit deflated and unmotivated today. Consequently, you might not be giving it your full attention. Maybe you're making a few mistakes. Maybe you're feeling like you're failing, or you're not going anywhere, which isn't the case at all. In fact, it's all part of your natural evolution and development as a leader, and that is perfectly okay. So I'd like you to allow yourself the time to seriously consider where your passions are now. What parts of your work gets your mojo pumping? Which projects excite you most? When do you feel absolutely stretched out of your comfort zone, but completely energized at the same time? Reflect on where and how your work-related passions align with your current priorities and purpose. What can you shift, delegate, drop, or do differently so that you're working within your passion areas more often? Now, draw out all the actions you've highlighted in this exercise and create a plan. Often when we're not feeling resilient, it's because we're caught up in the weeds of the here and now. But by creating a clear sense of purpose and a structured plan for the future, we gain a greater sense of agency and drive. It lifts us up and out of those weeds and helps us to find better solutions to everyday problems, while enthusiastically preparing us for whatever curveball challenges or opportunities the universe throws at us. So again, that's it for now. Remember that having a greater sense of purpose and control helps to restore clarity and calm even during the most turbulent of times. taking a little time out to work through this exercise now will pay dividends in terms of your own emotional, mental, and physical well-being, as well as the well-being of those you lead. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.